Okay, we're back for another Change Hacks Lightning Talk. And this time we're going to talk about resistance. And is resistance real, or is resistance the only human response to change? Okay, so in my experience, we seem to assume that resistance is going to occur. And a lot of our change plans actually start with that assumption. And what I'm proposing is that we reframe the way we look at that, and we actually not just reframe resistance, but let's reframe the whole human response to change, because resistance is just one of those responses. And it could be fair to say that we could reposition our thinking around that and start from a position of co-creation of change, rather than assuming that resistance is our starting point. We may uncover resistance later on once we start co-creating, engaging with our stakeholders and our impacted users, and uncovering resistance as an actual outcome of our dialogue. But that's not the only thing we may uncover, because what we know is that when we unpack that human response to change, we're going to find more than just resistance. And this is why we need to take the time to unpack what that response is. And if we're taking the time to unpack it while we're co-creating and talking to our stakeholders, we've actually got a really good chance of having less resistance as we do that. So let's have a closer look. So we know from our insights from neuroscience that we're hardwired to avoid loss. And from that place of loss, or that sentiment of loss, and when we feel like we're losing something, comes the emotion of threat, or that sentiment of threat. And that's where the place of resistance lies. However, there's another side to that, okay? And sometimes when we introduce change, there's also gain. People sometimes gain things from some changes, and that activates a reward response, which is the other human response to change and new information. So what I'm asking is that we open up our thinking and reframe that whole thing about how we view the human response to change, rather than assuming it starts from that place of resistance. And I think once we do that, we will encounter and unpack a lot more. So it's not just about a conventional change curve, if you like, where we assume resistance and then we need to move people up that curve. But what it is, it's unpacking what's there and unpacking the emotion behind that, because it may not always be resistance. There's been times when I've been through some change, for example, organisational change, where I've been able to take a redundancy pack and it's been like, yay, it's activated my reward response rather than my threat response. And so I don't think we should make that assumption that resistance is always going to be there. I think we need to open our minds a little more to the human response and take it from there. A little bit more in my blog about that, so go and have a look. It'll be on my website on www.lenaross.com.au. Thanks, guys.